And first up today, let's talk about an international war that you may not even know about right now, and that is the war of big boobs.
Boobs! I don't know, that's it.
And at the center of this war, fighting the battle today, you have Billie Eilish. It's very dehumanizing. I lost 100,000 followers just because of the boobs. People are scared of big boobs.
Remember DuckTales when we were little? Like, I would not have come over. We would not have been friends. You would have had that Saved by the Bell on. I could not have watched DuckTales.
Oh, I love Billie Eilish.
I mean, you Instagrammed about her comments on coronavirus. You defended her against the trolls of the internet.
Yeah.
Body shaming her. Why did you kind of feel compelled to do that?
You know, it's just so dumb that any woman in the spotlight is already under a tremendous amount of pressure. I mean, the internet is gross and awful, and I hate it. But she especially, for some reason, I don't know if it's because she's so young, and it just feels so inappropriate for anyone to comment on any young person's body ever.
I just touched your boob.
What? Roll that back! I didn't see that! Roll it back!
I'm sorry.
Roll it back!
And I know I mentioned in like my tweet or whatever that I looked just like, I looked exactly like that when I was her age, and it's just, I had a horrible time.
It's okay to admit to yourself, this is a virtue I don't have. It's okay to look at a situation and think through, what would a more virtuous person have done? How would a more virtuous person have reacted? Then think about what particular virtue it was that you were lacking. And admit to yourself, I have some virtues and not others. And this happens to be a virtue I lack. But you know what else? This analytical process can lead you to consider the option of practicing particular virtues that you lack. And you know, if you try it out, you might decide, hey, this is just not for me. It's not going to work. But you might find that you change. You might find that actually those virtues can become more familiar. It can become more easy for you to practice in difficult situations, under pressure, when you've put in the time and effort, when you've tried it out for yourself. But it all begins with recognizing what virtues you've got and which ones maybe are unfamiliar to you, whether that is through lack of practice or something that is just in your nature. A lot of video games I played when I was growing up as a kid would give you about 4 options on screen. You know, some situation arises in the video game, some calamity, some challenge, you know, and there were kind of 4 options, A, B, C, D, for you to choose from a menu. You know, with a lot of these things in life, one of the options we don't talk about, we don't think about, or maybe we don't think about enough because we don't have one word for it in the English language, is to just be happy for others. You know, I wish we had one word for that in English, because even the adjective happy isn't quite suitable. Your best friend from grade school fell in love with and is now engaged to be married to a guy who you had a crush on through all of high school, but you never told him. What are you going to do? You might think there are only 3 options, but a 4th one, another option that's on the list, that's on the menu, is to just be happy for them. Can't you just be happy for her? Can't you? Maybe you can't. Maybe that's something lacking in you. You really got to examine and really got to think about and philosophize about. Maybe try to practice. And if you decide it's not for you, if you decide you can't do it, it's not in your nature, or you're just terrible at it or something, you got to think about what you're going to do instead. You're going to have to come up with a new strategy. You're going to have to come up with a new way of being a human being and relating to other human beings. Can't you just be happy for them? It's not easy. And I see this on a massive scale now on the internet. And yeah, sometimes it's about things that are tremendously shallow. Maybe because people are not ashamed to exhibit their jealousy about shallow things, and maybe it's more difficult for them to be honest or go public when it's about something more profound. Okay. Billie Eilish. She's made a huge amount of money, become very famous, performing what I would consider absolutely terrible music. But every year, somebody, somewhere, is going to make a fortune performing terrible music. Okay? Can't you just be happy for her? I'm happy for her. If I met her face to face in real life, I wouldn't lie and say that I like her music. I wouldn't lie and say I appreciated your music. I would just say, I'm happy for you. I'm happy for you that this worked. I'm happy that you're that one person in a million who performs this horrible music and gets to live their dream. Right? Billie Eilish has enormous breasts. And we're going to see this huge array of reactions on the internet, including, interestingly, other women with enormous breasts who seem to feel oppressed by society and are like imposing this onto Billie Eilish and claiming that she like symbolizes their sense of oppression as women with unusually large breasts. And of course, there's this other kind of discourse of resentment from flat-chested and small-breasted women. I guess they feel disadvantaged, perhaps not oppressed, in a world that's obsessed with large breasts. Not all of the reactions are of jealousy and envy, and some of the reactions are just of a kind of peculiar sneering contempt. Some of the reactions are from people where I think their point is not that she's unattractive. I think there are people complaining that she is not attractive enough to have her position of kind of unearned fame. Like the expectation is that she ought to present herself like Beyonce and either actually be as attractive as Beyonce or some other icon of both beauty and the performing arts, that she ought to be living up to the standard of being a legend, a myth, not just in terms of her vocal performances, but in terms of her, they have an expectation formed by not just a few, but dozens of other women who have played this role publicly and have projected a certain kind of glamour and beauty, regardless of how they might look when they're not wearing makeup or when they're not making a public appearance, when they're not wearing an evening gown. This is sort of failed expectation that she should be more beautiful than she is, or be made to appear more beautiful than she is through a conspiracy of fashion designers and photographers and retouching and flattering angles and what have you, right? So there's a whole range of reactions. And I wish we had just one word in English for this. This sense of, can't you be happy for her? There's an option on the menu there. Option number 4 is just be happy for her. And I know that word happy is misleading. You're not going to be like, wow, I'm so glad that this other person is living out this dream that I didn't get to live. You're not going to be delighted. You're not going to be delighted like, oh yeah, my best friend from primary school is now getting married to that guy I used to want to get married to in high school, and I never, I get it. I get it that you're not going to be glowing with enthusiasm. The type of happiness we're talking about here is it's a kind of subtle appreciation. That guy you had a crush on in high school, somebody was going to marry him. Somebody. All right, it just happened to be her. It just happened to be that girl you knew from. So can't you be happy for her? Would you be happier if it were Beyonce? Would you be happier if it were a complete stranger who married that guy? Why? So just be happy for her, right? Somebody was going to make $1 million this year playing this ludicrous pop music fame game, right? Well, it happened to be you. Even if I think it's completely undeserved, right? Even if I don't think you merit it or whatever, I can still be happy for you. Even if my opinion is, because I listen to rap music, that there are thousands of more talented rappers who upload their music to SoundCloud and datpiff.com and they don't get the recognition. I feel they're more deserving of this money and fame. That's profoundly irrelevant. There's an option on the menu here. Can't you be happy for her? Okay? The other controversy surrounding Billie Eilish is the extent to which she does or doesn't represent a positive voice within veganism, a positive voice for veganism. All right? And on some level, we all know Billie Eilish is 18 years old and she's not an intellectual. Can't you just be happy for her? Like, seriously, she has somehow stumbled into this veganism thing. And, she may be the worst vegan in the world. I'm happy that she stumbled into it. There may be a lot of things that she's doing wrong. I hope she figures them out one by one. There were a lot of things she hasn't thought through or she doesn't have the most philosophical angle on. I hope that in the years to come, she recognizes those things and thinks them through and becomes wiser and a better voice for veganism and just a more articulate voice for herself, frankly. She's obviously someone who struggles a great deal with giving interviews or public speaking. Yeah. Criticism is an option. Anger, outrage, disappointment is an option. Disappointment, right? But do you not think it's possible that the reason why option number 4 doesn't come up here in your mind, do you not think it's possible that you're thinking on some level this was a dream you had, that you wanted to be the voice for vegan activism and you think you could do better at it? Just like a whole lot of people on the internet, they wanted to be the next Beyonce, they wanted to be the next famous singer, and they have this sense of resentment that she's not doing it right, that they could have done better. There's this sense of resentment that you could have seduced and fallen in love with that guy you had a crush on in high school, but some other girl got him and said, do you not think there's a kind of undertow and your problem is that you can't feel happy for others because part of you still wishes that you could take their place?